Hello LEGO fans, Bricks Unbound here with another Building Hogwarts update. And as mentioned in the previous update, I've started work on the section above the trophy room. So in the last update, the trophy room was basically this line of tile or of plates down and the interior of that. So now I've started working on the part above it. And I just kept building until I ran out of bricks. So you're going to see, like over there, there's some gaps here because I ran out of a lot of basic bricks like 2x4s and 2x6s, and even my 1x2s in tan are very low from having, gallon bags full of the parts. So I've placed a few bricklink orders to get that filled in. But let's take a look at what I was able to accomplish with what I had on hand. So right now, the astronomy tower I just slid out. So this just goes right back into the middle of the courtyard there in order to actually see this, because it comes out to roughly here, so it blocks that whole column. But I'm thinking it looks pretty good. It was relatively easy to do because I just mirrored the other half of the library that you can see back behind it. There's some slight changes in like length of things, but I did just set them side by side really and just mirror built it. So made it relatively straightforward. Although as I was building, there are a few things that I might need to adjust as I came up with slightly better ways to do it in this side of it. But same general window layout as the other side. So nothing super exciting here. There is this little overhang that goes over the courtyard roof there, which I think looks fine. It's not that big of a gap. I could put a plate or tile or something underneath it to, shore it up a little bit, but I think it's fine, and it does look actually like the real model does. My minifigure here and the snitch are attached just with these clear bars. I have just 1x1 bricks with little holes in the side where I can slide those into to have whatever I want flying around here. I like having a little bit more action in things, so there have been other parts of the castle too, as you've probably seen, where I included little spots where I can attach things flying about. Walking around so we can get a little bit better look at it here. And here is the other side. So library up top, charms classroom underneath. We'll go ahead and remove these roof sections here. And they're not held on by any studs, they just sit on tiles. So here we're going to take a look first at the interior of the other library section, just a brief reminder of what these shelves look like. And originally I was planning on having the same kind of shelf build on the other side, but now I think I might even rebuild all of the shelves in here, because for anybody who has gotten the Dumbledore's office set from this year, like one of the Hogwarts expansions, or if you have gotten the Sanctum Sanctorum D to C set, there are much better bookshelf builds in there than this stuff that I had put together previously. So here is just the section from Dumbledore's office. It does actually even have moving books built in. But as you can see, it has a lot more depth, a lot more interesting shapes of books there, using some of those curved pieces. And I like this look a lot better. It's a little bit more of an elegant design. So I'm going to do some kind of combination between this style of building and the Sanctum Sanctorum for the bookcases. At least that's what I'm anticipating. I'll do it for some over on the other side, and I'll just kind of set them side by side and see what I think. But I've downloaded the instructions for the Sanctorum because I don't actually own that set yet. And taking a look there, I've ordered some pieces off of Bricklink to at least mock up a few bookcases, just to see what I think before I completely destroy this idea. So on the other side, obviously the interior is not even close to done. I just have some little plates set down where I was anticipating putting bookshelves. This one actually I was thinking is where I would put Madame Pence's desk, so it's facing out into the library a little bit. And then bookshelves lined up down the middle like that. So on the other side here, I have a bunch of tables. I don't think I'm going to have that on this side, and then along this wall there's just one long bookcase. But I think that will look pretty good once I get everything put together. There's the question of how I'm going to do the restricted section. haven't completely decided yet. One thing I thought about was actually turning a couple of these shelves so then they come out this way from that back wall, and I could have little, you know, chain thing running across. That might end up being what I do. Haven't completely decided yet, because also I was thinking, as I was looking at my other side of the library, above the shelves there's a lot of open space, so potentially I could actually make slightly shorter shelves and then put like a little walkway around, or at least along this wall, with some bookcases as well pushed up against the wall to get just even more books in here and make it look a little bit more interesting. I might still do that. The challenge is, of course, how are the minifigures going to get up to it? And one thing I had thought for that, and I could do it, I guess, on either end, really, if I wanted to go all the way across, was down here, putting in a little staircase that just, you know, goes up, or maybe even a spiral staircase so that will stick out further, so that's not necessarily ideal. But a staircase that goes up here, and then that platform would basically just run along this wall. Students could walk along and find books on the higher shelves. So I might still do that. Of course, if I do that, then my plan for the restricted section might change a little bit. But let me know what you think where I should put things there. Along this wall is pretty empty. Right now I have an opening over here, and it actually doesn't go all the way down to the other end because it's actually, oops, kind of open. But behind this statue holding the key, it's actually meant to be a little secret passage. It's hard to get it back in place from this angle, but it does, yeah, there we go. So it lines up pretty well with the wall. It'll be more stable once I actually have the correct tiles underneath it. But it's just a secret passage, because Hogwarts always, or the books always talk about Hogwarts having a bunch of secret passages, so I wanted to put one there. I might switch it out to actually be a, you know, a bookcase that slides open, or folds back or something. The problem is the bookcases are a little bit wider than that statue base, and they were catching the the side walls when I tried to pivot it back. So I need to figure out maybe a little bit better design, or potentially I just have an opening behind her, and I'm just thinking of this now. Behind where that statue is at, just have it be an opening in the wall, and the bookcase, you know, is lined up here, and then it folds out on hinges, because even if you can see the hinges, they would be in that back corner and kind of hard to view from that angle. So maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'm changing my plan here as I'm recording this video. Anyway, this opening here, I was anticipating having Madam Pence's office in there. Although what I might do, again, if I'm going to rebuild that part anyway, I might as well do this too, is switch this opening to be here, so then it's behind her desk. And that just makes sense, I guess. So yeah, that might be what I do there. The problem is that these roofs, how they're currently built, are not actually removable, so I won't be able to see down inside unless I completely redo how I've built it, which is possible if I'm going to be rebuilding the walls. Anyway, there's some rambling for you. The other issue right now is, as we look over here, there are actually two corridors that come into this wall. So that lower one is actually very short. It is just the height of this section here. There are classrooms within there though, or at least that's the plan. I have walls for classrooms and some desks sitting in there. But the issue is that above it there's actually a much larger corridor. You can see Luna skipping down it down there in the distance. And that doesn't really line up very well with the library. Potentially it could line up if I do a walkway, you know, underneath those upper windows there like I was talking about. But I tried a few times to build in some kind of like staircase in these open spaces, and maybe if I did one of the just tight spiral staircases it could work. The challenge is I have this hole in the floor, which is by design, because I was planning on putting, you know, a little railing around it so students can then look down into the hallway underneath, because I'm planning on doing some kind of mosaic thing on the floor down below, which is why it isn't fully tiled yet. But with that hole there, it really restricts the room space around it from putting a staircase in. So I really need to think if I want to keep that or just get rid of it, because then I could have even more bookshelves, bookcases around out here, or maybe just other displays. So I'm trying to make up my mind there as well. Let me know what you think, because I need to, if I want the students to have access to the upper corridors here, I do need some kind of stairway. I don't know. I have to keep thinking on that one. But we'll put the roofs back on here so we can see kind of where the tower in the middle is going to go. Picture it a little bit better here. So this roof here will continue out until it meets up with this wall. And in the middle here is where Ravenclaw Tower is going to sit. I haven't really done any building on it. Again, I ran out of parts. I have this very mocked up version of the rough width of it, which is 24 studs by 24 studs, which actually, luckily enough, fits pretty well in here. So that's what's the general width of what's going to be sitting here, and it's going to continue up quite a ways, probably to about this height for the bricks of it. So that part will be roughly even with the lower balcony there of the astronomy tower. And then from here, it'll start doing, you know, the pointed spire in the same fashion as these bell towers over here. So it'll be fairly tall, but I think even if I, you know, have the main part of the building come up to here, the spire still shouldn't reach as high as the astronomy tower, so that should be perfectly fine. And obviously inside there is where it's Ravenclaw Tower, so Ravenclaw common room, and the boys and girls dormitories will be inside there. And that'll actually probably take up most of the space, because it'll probably be the common room will be a lower level, or like a mid level of it, and the dormitory is the next level up from that. So I'm looking forward to finally getting building on that. I just need to actually get the parts for it, because I went through them a lot faster than expected. But that'll do it for, well, actually no. I do need to do some rebuilding here as well. When I originally built this, I envisioned the library coming further out, or maybe this part not being as wide, because I forgot there was actually an angled roof here until I was looking back at pictures like, oh no, I need to put that in there. So I just need to rebuild it to get rid of all these things that are sticking out of the side, so then I can actually line things up and have them sit flush with each other instead of all of these gaps. So that'll be another part of this project. Redoing that building, redoing probably these interior walls here, as I mentioned, potentially figuring out a way, as I'm rebuilding things anyway, to make it so these sections of roof are removable. The issue with it, of course, is that they have these columns that come down on top of the roof, and I think that actually looks pretty good, pretty accurate. So maybe if I just have, you know, some tiles here, so it can just kind of slide in and pop up. It'll just be hard to do that, so it'll be something I'd remove a lot. But lots of thinking of small tweaks I can do as I record this video. So let me know what you think down in the comments, if you have ideas for how you think the bookshelves in the library should be laid out, or if I should keep that hole in the middle of the floor there and, you know, put the railing around it. I might still put the railing around it just to see what it looks like before I completely dismiss the idea. But that'll do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And please keep coming back for more videos.